Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dr. Divorce, my YouTube channel. I'm attorney Will Salgado from Modesto, California. I'm out here in the park. It's a beautiful day. It's March 24th, in the middle of this pandemic episode that we're experiencing. I thought it'd be a perfect day to come out, enjoy the beautiful day. The sun is bright, and I'm getting some vitamin C. Hopefully that'll keep away any bugs. But in any event, I hope everyone is practicing social distance to the best they can. I know it's very difficult. I like to go to the gym and exercise, so it's kind of hard to keep away from people, especially family and friends. But you know, we have to do what we have to do. Please excuse the noise in the background. I've got my mic on right now, so I hope that'll muffle most of the sound. But in any event, here we go. Today's topic is restraining orders. A lot of people have questions about them. I know that they can be somewhat confusing and difficult to fill out, but I'm going to just kind of tackle the basics. Even though I'm an attorney and I'm giving advice, this is just general advice, just discussing the different types of forms so that you can hopefully get started on your own. And if it's something you can tackle, wonderful. But if not, then I would advise you seek the assistance of an attorney, obviously, to help you through the process because it can get a little overwhelming. So let's start off with a basic question. What is domestic violence? What qualifies as domestic violence? Well, let me dive into that. Family Code Section 6203 and 6320 basically define what domestic violence is, and that is threats of violence, actual violence itself, harassment, stalking, disturbing the peace of another individual. Obviously, sexual assault would be included in that. So there is a variety of factors that may be considered domestic violence. Again, look up those code sections so that if you have any questions, you can refer to those. But be careful because not every type of conduct results in domestic violence. That's got to be very specific. And I've seen a lot of cases that get thrown out because people don't allege the facts as they should, or they've got the law in a way that is misinterpreted. So make sure that you understand what domestic violence is. Who can be restrained in a domestic violence restraining order with the family courts here in the California Superior Court? It can be a family member, it can be a spouse, a significant other, someone you can share a child with. So it's a very specific type of relationship. You can't file a domestic violence restraining order against your neighbor, for example. That would be a different type of restraining order. That would be a civil harassment restraining order. I think that's what it's called. And that's completely different. The forms are somewhat similar, but it's filed in a different division with the court. I'm just talking about the domestic violence restraining orders because, as you're aware, I'm a family law attorney, and that's what I'm doing these videos for. Okay, back to the order of business. So there's various forms you want to fill out. Now, what does a restraining order or a domestic violence restraining order do for you? It can basically do everything that a divorce petition could do except divorce you, for those of you who are married. It's a very powerful tool. You can get child support orders, spousal support orders, property control orders, meaning that you can have exclusive use of a vehicle that you were sharing or maybe you were driving. You can even get kick out orders, meaning you can get the person that you're trying to restrain removed from the house. It's sort of like an eviction. So it's very powerful. You could also get what are called child abduction prevention orders. These are orders where if you feel that your spouse or your significant other, this person's going to take your children away from you and move out of state, out of the country, you can get those orders as well. It's actually one of my favorite tools to use if it's warranted. Be careful again, because if you file a restraining order that's baseless, it can't come back and bite you in the ass. It's happened on many cases. I've seen it personally myself, where it comes back and it haunts you for having filed a bogus restraining order. So don't do it. Don't do it. So diving into what the forms are that are required. Again, each county is very different when it comes to the forms that are required. A lot of counties are the same, but some counties require one form over the other, or they have an additional form that's called a local form. The local forms usually have some sort of STCT dash numeration, and those for Stanislaus would be an example of a local form for Stanislaus County. Now, if you have a case in Merced, they have, I think it's MC, they have different types of acronyms and numeration. Okay, so getting back at it, I have a list here. This is from the Stanislaus County website. They have packets there you could download that'll give you all the information on the forms you need. But you need the CLETS-001, which is the confidential CLETS information, the FL004, this is a local form, which I discussed, which is a declaration regarding ex parte notice application for orders. I know that's a lot, but just go with me. Then we have the basic forms. These are the bones and meat of your document of the request. Okay, this is your DV-100, which is your request for a restraining order. The DV-110, which is the temporary restraining order, which the judge signs once he grants your restraining order. The DV-109, which is the notice of court hearing. And then there's the DV-200, which is the proof of service. Again, the proof of service is the document that is signed by the person who hands over the documents to the person to be restrained. And again, in that circumstance, I have a video on service, which is video number 2. You could look that up on YouTube and it'll pop up. Similar, basic, same principles. The form is just different from the family law form on divorces, but it requires the same information. The service requirements are essentially the same. Now let's specifically dive into the DV-100 or the DV/100, which is the request for domestic violence restraining order. In that document, it's basically your petition. It's what you're asking the judge that you want him or her to do, to order for you. So like I said, you obviously feel like you need protection from someone because of threats, physical violence. You believe that your life or the life of your children are in imminent danger. So you want that person away from you, and you can ask the judge to grant a restraining order, keeps people restrained for 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards. I think the common one is 100 yards. You could also ask that this person be restrained away from your workplace, your car, your children's school. You could also protect your pets and your property along the lines of that request for order. I also mentioned that you could request for alimony and child support. That's awesome because you can take care of that if you're going to be separating from this person and you need financial resources or help. Now, if you're going to be checking the box for child support, you have to remember you're going to have to fill out the FL-150 in addition to the forms that I discussed, because the FL-150 is what's called the income and expense declaration. That is a document that discloses your income information. The judge is going to need your income information and the restraining person's income information if you share common children and you're asking for child support. Same thing with alimony. You're going to be required to fill out that form. So when it comes to custody and visitation, if you have an existing order, the restraining order could modify it. Again, I'm sorry, just to digress. It's real noisy. This is my first time out here in the park. It's beautiful though. I hope that the noises aren't bothering you, but the ambulances keep coming through. I wonder if it's the end of the world with all this pandemic madness. And, you know, on a funny side note, I'm going over here, driving by one of these furniture stores that's been going out of business for the last 5 years, and they're still open even in the pandemic. So it's like, bro, shouldn't you guys be closed by now, especially now? Like, this is the worst time, but they're obviously making it. Anyhow, back to the restraining orders. If you want to get new orders for child custody and modification, you could do that with a restraining order as well. You check the box, you fill out additional forms or attachments. In this case, the forms you would fill out if you're asking for child custody and visitations orders are the DV-105, the DV-140, and the DV-150 if you're asking for supervised visits. So I'll put the titles of those documents down below so you're aware of them. But these are documents that need to be attached. If you follow the directions on the forms, you'll be able to see where they go. Now, it can get very confusing really fast with the forms. A lot of people just get legal document preparers, which I can't recommend as an attorney on the basis that I am an attorney, but you can go to whomever you believe will best suit your needs based on your financial resources. If you can afford an attorney, awesome, do that. Get an attorney, come see me, 209-300-7825. My office is in Modesto. I serve the counties of Stanislaus, Merced, and San Joaquin. So once you have the documents filled out, you're going to take these documents and you're going to file them. When I say file is you take the documents physically and you hand them over to the family law clerk at the courthouse. and you hand over the packet. There's a specific method that they want you to have the documents laid out. So make sure that you, again, call the clerk and find out what that is. Or you can go to the website and download the packets, and they'll let you know how it is that they want. But they usually want the original, meaning the document you signed with the ink. In this case, I have a red one, but use blue ink. Don't use red. That, and essentially you put the original on top, and then the two copies down below. They want it hole punched, the original hole punched, and the rest without hole punch. Those are the ones that you would essentially take. But the way that the procedure here is in Stanislaus County is that you hand over the documents. If you do it in the morning, you'll get back the restraining order request along with a temporary restraining order back the next day. You don't automatically get a restraining order once you file it. So when family law clerk takes the order, she takes it to the judge, and the judge reviews your request, what you've put down in your request for order, or the DV-100 and its attachments, and determines whether you have a basis for a temporary restraining order. If the judge finds that there's enough facts or circumstances to warrant for or grant you a temporary restraining order, you'll get those documents back. The order that you filled out will have the boxes checked, meaning that this restrained person is to be away from you. You could drive your car and have exclusive use of possession. In a powerful manner, you can also have that person removed from your house, like I said earlier, if the judge grants it. I highly suggest that you guys retain the services of an attorney, because people make mistakes on these all the time. You don't know how to articulate facts or express yourself, or if you're a bad writer, that can cause problems for you, because the judge is not there to hear your story in person. He's only going to take your case at face value on the four corners of the document, and that's about it. So you guys have any questions, please call me, 209-300-7825. You can do a consult to come see me. Right now, during the pandemic, you can do a telephone consult as well. I know that this advice is very general in nature. It does not create an attorney-client relationship between you and me, and it definitely should not be used as your only resource to guide you through. This information is only as current as today's date. So please keep your head up during these difficult and weird times, and rise up and succeed. I will see you next time for the next video.